Ta-da! And welcome to Josef's Model Railway and Toy Room. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, you don't need to like, follow, or subscribe. I just put the videos out there where I can, have a holly jolly great time doing so. And in today's video, we're going to talk about power distribution points. We need to get this layout wired up with all the turnouts and everything that we need to do. And we're going to come back into a rather in-depth video talking about the different power buses we're going to run around this layout for different applications. But at the moment, I just wanted to talk about what we do when we actually get to a distribution point, because there is a lot of products and concepts out there, but I really wanted to just take you through what I will be using and what I think is a very time and cost efficient solution for a lot of you, particularly if you're just working on a small layout, and just as applicable when you're working on larger layouts. It's got some really cool little tricks in it that I love, and really it's just common sense and good thinking that someone put together exactly what we are probably all looking for. So let's dive on in and have a look. Alrighty, let us swing that camera around now and get you zoomed in. Well, we need to get this cricket oval in and get that pitch down, which is where I'm up to at the moment. However, we've still got to tidy up the cords over here, which means I want to just get that done. I am going to need to come in, hopefully in the coming months, just to tidy up a signal that I believe I need to get the cable accessed into here. And as we've discussed with the cricket pitch, that's been designed that it won't be a big deal, but I don't have the signal at the moment. So for the time being though, we may as well just clean up all of our track feeders and get this sorted out. I thought it was interesting. A couple of years ago, I was talking to you in a video regarding these WAGO connectors that we use in electrical circuits, and they are absolutely fantastic. And as you saw me use in a few videos and in some test things, I use them. They're available in their different configurations from a 2 to a 3. The whole point is we lift it up, we trim our wire up, slide it in, away we go. Nice solid connection. And also we do have the ability to test the circuit as well by putting a probe straight down into it. And they are quite good. The genuine ones, if you're doing any, please do not do any of your own mains wiring or electrical work. Please contact your qualified electrician. But for anyone that is needing to do anything serious or making it last, please do buy the actual brand name stuff. While a jar of these is going to cost about $35 to $50, you can purchase this particular kit here, which has a whole range of them, for about $10 or $12. They look pretty much identical, but there's just a few key differences about them, and there's some applications I would question their integrity. That being said, for the applications on our DC model railway layouts, these can be very useful. However, there's one downside. They do actually sell a bracket that you can get that you can affix and then click these into place. Otherwise, they just end up dangling around with the cord, or other people may blob a bit of glue on them and sit them into place. But there is a bit of force when you need to lift the levers up. So as a result, gluing them down, I think, is a bit of a tacky way to go. So let's look at what else we can do. I'm sure anyone watching this video should be pretty familiar with what the UK modelers call chocolate block connections. We still just know this as a terminal strip or power distribution, depending on what you're doing. And of course, the great thing is you can come along, cut up a few shorter lengths of wire, twist them together, daisy chain over to create this sort of, as we could call it, a bus, and then we can tap out and go to the relevant feeds that we need to do. They're quite cheap. I have a lot of these. Expect to see some of these in some key parts of the layout. It's a timeless design and it does just work. As you can see, the downside, if you are doing a bus with them, you're going to need to put them together. And if we have a quick look in this photo now, here is an alternative you've probably seen some others using that you can purchase that have this bus bar, so to speak, with the forked connectors that can slide down into it and give you a much more streamlined approach. And that's fantastic, albeit where I am, it's not that they're expensive, but the freight getting them here is a little bit on the scary side. So what's the alternative we're going to go with here? Well, it happens to be this little gadget here, which is similar in many ways, but not quite. what I absolutely love, and this does come in different sizes as well, bigger, smaller, depending on what you're doing. But what I absolutely love about it, if we just have a look, it's rather quite straightforward. It's just a clever little bit of soldering. So what I love about it is we can come in with our red and black wires that will come along and then feed respectively across here to the rails. And then it also outputs here. So when we're doing a bit of a bus and you're halfway in the middle of the layout, you can come in with the bus feed here and you can go out and carry on across the layout. And you've ended up with this beautiful section where you can tap out to a few different outlets accordingly. So for my power feeds to the tracks, I think this is going to be wonderful. We'll probably have about half a dozen of these scattered across the underneath of the board, and we'll just have the respective power bus coming in and going out and following it around until it gets to effectively what I believe will be the end, which is here, and we'll pop it in here, and all of these can just stay here within our little trapdoor, and just respectively our power feed red and black wire will travel out the door. We could pick these up for about $5 Australian, a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on how many and what you're buying at the time. They come with these lovely little mounting feet, and again, we're just going straight onto timber, so we're not going to short anything, but I think it's just nice to give it that little bit of a touch, so it also gives you a bit of room when you've got to put your finger in and put them down when it's mounted, as they're trying to jiggle and work against a flat surface. Just regarding these, I'm just going to bring you in a little bit closer here for a moment. We'll just use the end one here for the demonstration. But as you come and screw it down, you're literally just screwing a screw down. And if we do look carefully in there, you can certainly see either side of the screw. So the connection is not too bad, but if you were using some of those finer strand cables, as you've seen me doing in previous videos, particularly with that buffer stop, this is a little bit big and not great. If we come in on these particular ones, and again, we'll just take this particular end one at the moment, and we're going to screw down here. You'll see it's a nice flat plate that comes to make the connection down on it. So there is a far more secure connection happening right there. So we'll just come in nice and close so you can see what I'm talking about here. So we've got our A or B, red or black, however you want to do it. Red would run all the way down this way and then carry on through, and vice versa. Black could come in here, run all the way through and come out the other way. And I think basically for the same price as what you're paying for this and all the alternative I showed you before, this is an absolutely really neat and tidy solution, for the simple fact that we can go in and we can come out respectively without having to congest any of the existing terminals here, which just makes for a much neater, cleaner and more practical way to wire. On a separate note, and just a little tip, for more than 1 million connections that I can think of, I have been stripping and terminating the wires that I needed to do with your traditional pair of side cutters. Absolutely fantastic. I've never deemed in all my life that I've done enough terminations that I need to worry about a dedicated pair of wire strippers. I do indeed have the more clunkier version with the big head on the end of it that I was gifted through some promotion or something, but I always found it a bit cumbersome to use, especially when you've only got 2 or 3 cables that need a quick trim. You've always got the side cutters handy on you and you get on with the job. I must admit, as you'd be aware with the other ones, not only do they strip the cable, they can also come into the middle of the cord and just pinch back the insulation, exposing it if you need to solder and tap onto it that way. But they are, for me, a little bit heavy, and if you're doing a lot of crawling around on the knees like we're going to need to do to get all of these power feeders done, I want it to be a reasonably smooth and clean operation. So I went hunting around seeing what I could find if there was something that ticks a few requirements, and I came across this particular pair of Knipex wire strippers. What I really do love about this opposed to the rest is, unlike a lot of the other Knipex quality stuff, is these don't even weigh half the weight that just a standard pair of cutters do. Now, I would still be concerned saying maybe that's because they're just not that good. Well, we've still got our traditional stamp made in Germany, and the build quality of these things is very, very good. And apart from having the key stripping component that we use, we also do have up the top here our cutting action as well we can use. But let's just have a quick look at this and bring it in a little bit closer. As you'd imagine, this has all the key adjustments that you would need to facilitate the average sort of cables that most of us are dealing with, especially for the more sort of domestic and lightweight type of applications. This thing is absolutely fantastic and is ridiculously lightweight. I can't oversell that ability enough from it. Let us just grab a little section of our cord here and let's just pop it in. Remember, I've set this for the way I want my cables to be terminated at the moment, but let's get you in nice and close so we can see this. Action here. We lay our cable into where it's going to stop. We're going to lay down, just pull the trigger with literally no actual effort that we need. We have nice clean wastage that gives you, what I like about it is as you strip, it's going to hold that piece for you to dump off where you need it, as opposed to others that just fling plastic insulation where necessary. And of course, nice and close on this bit of cable if we can. See, we've stripped it nicely. We could just give it a nice little bit of a twist. And ladies and gentlemen, that's about as far as I need to go with anything. I do want to just point this out, especially where I was talking about this type of connection and the plate sort of thing. I would have no problems at all taking 2, maybe even 3, but at least 2 of these connections, trimming them up, twisting them together, and then just sliding 2 into that same socket. You'll end up with a very, very reliable connection. That is quick and easy to adjust if you need to do something later down the track. We don't need to solder it. We don't need to complicate it. We can easily unplug or replug or change out as our future applications desire. Ladies and gentlemen, that now wraps up yet another video that we need to get moving with. So this is pretty much the process we're going to follow. Of course, we're going to come back as we talk more about the wiring going around the layout. And of course, it's not a tremendous representation because obviously the rest underneath will be cleaned up a little neater in the way we go. But as I mentioned before, I want to keep the tails on the cable in case we need to pull or move something, swap a cable out where we can strap it, and plenty to move around and carry on. But these are delightful, and you can see the logic here. We could keep the bus going with a following cable onto the next section. Now, in this demonstration, this is going to be the end. The power feed's going to start most likely in the other direction and end here, so unlikely. But it's just a couple of screws out and we could patch on and tap whatever we need to do. But this is clear and out of the way. Thankfully, we don't have any points under here. As you can see, that all happens where this imaginary line is. It's all accessible underneath. I can come straight in underneath and access as necessary. There will still need to be a signal feed that needs to happen, but there is only one, and I imagine any other lighting or something we might do with the cricket ground will of course happen from this side. But this is the distribution blocks that I think I'm going to proceed with. I'm very happy with them, nice and logical, and again, it's great for the ones that are going to be in the middle where you just keep feeding through them, away you go. And there's obviously plenty that we could tap into. The other great thing I do like about this, as opposed to some of the others, it's the all metal construction on the inside, and as I said, the flat plate that comes down and then we'll absolutely get it. So it doesn't matter what style that you twist, crimp, fold, or put the cable in, as soon as that screw comes down, you've got a great electrical contact. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe. We'll see you in the next one. Toodles!